Could you tell us to start with who you are?
Yes, hi, I'm Rosie McLoughlin. I'm Chief Executive of Vocal. We work with carers across Edinburgh and Midlothian, and we have carer centres in Edinburgh and in Dalkeith.
Could you tell us why carer centres are so important?
Yeah, well, I mean, carer centres are often described as a lifeline for carers. They offer really vital services and support and a consistency of support as well, which is really important for carers. But they're also a very strong collective advocacy voice, very influential in ensuring that carers' voices are heard across the policy landscape in Scotland.
What are the current challenges faced by carer centres?
Well, there's a big increase in demand from carers and for services and support. And I would say increasingly those support calls that we get are complex in nature, and we're seeing a big shift in that. That's in part due to a real reduction in statutory services and provision, meaning that carers are often shouldering much more responsibility in terms of care provision. The lack of replacement care makes short breaks very difficult to access, and also the financial issues facing carers mean that actually short breaks themselves become very unaffordable.
So how are these challenges changing the work carried out by carer centres?
Well, I think care support practitioners and frontline staff, their skill set is having to change. Many of them are having to become skilled in a whole range of areas, from brokerage to trauma-informed practice, and right into areas such as self-directed support and supporting carers to do things like manage packages of care and employ PAs. But we're also seeing it in terms of how services are planned and delivered. And one of the areas that we've noticed, certainly at Vocal, is around short breaks. So in addition to providing information and advice to carers around short breaks, we have now actually become a short breaks provider. We've just recently purchased holiday homes for carers in Seaton Sands and have a carer cottage in Pitlochry. And that's really done in response to the fact that it is very difficult for carers to find affordable breaks, or in fact replacement care for the person that they care for. So many actually take the person they care for on the break with them. But we're also seeing it, I think, in the way in which carers navigate the care landscape. In Midlothian, we're just at the start of scoping a project around developing a care cooperative for carers. And carer centres are very well placed to do this. It's about linking carers and those that they care for into support services within the community. But it's also about supporting them to manage care packages, to access PAs, to be employers, and ideally in the longer term to try and unlock more capacity within the system.
Thank you. So moving forward, what do you think would help carer centres overcome these challenges?
I think funding is one of the biggest issues faced by carer centres. Reduced funding in particular from their health and social care partnerships and dealing with those challenges. We've really seen the benefit of ring-fenced funding for carer centres and working closely with local authorities to develop that. But actually that is reducing, and we're now seeing the implications here as carer centres are faced with increased demand on their services, but actually often on reduced budgets. So I think not just the funding itself, but the way in which that funding is passed on to carer centres and the way in which services are commissioned. We've seen the benefits of having funding directly from Scottish Government in areas such as Time to Live, and it's really beneficial, and it takes out some of the impediments to collaborative working that often exists when you have a local authority commissioning services. One of the biggest and fundamental changes that we can make for carers as carer centres is to have good collaborative working with our local health and social care partnerships, but very often the funding gets in the way of that. So I think both the funding itself and a change to the way in which that funding is actually commissioned and delivered would make a significant difference.
Thank you very much, Rosie.